of the West Indies, St. Augustine, and an MA in Indian history from the New Delhi, India. She was a Commonwealth Scholar at the University of Manchester, United Kingdom. She has also researched and published extensively on Indian indentureship and the Indian diaspora. Dr. Mahes is also the co-author of the Caribbean History for CXC 2011 edition and author of Why Should We Be Called Coolies? The End of Indian Indentured Laborer 2020. She's also the founder of Support Autism in Trinidad and Tobago, a non-governmental organization established to create opportunities for those who are suffering from autism in Trinidad and Tobago. She also writes in the Newsday newspaper. A well-known figure, I now hand you over to Dr. Radhika Mahes.
Thank you very much. Can you all hear me?
I can hear you clearly, yes.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. So namaste, Sitaram, organizers, panelists, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am very pleased to be presenting today as Guyana celebrates 183 years since the arrival of the first batch of Indian indentured laborers to Guyana. Initially, writings on indentureship portrayed Indian laborers as docile and meek. However, this was in fact the opposite, and more recent writings have examined the ways in which laborers have resisted their situation on the plantation. My fellow panelists, Lomash, for example, have looked at the active forms of resistance such as desertion, work stoppage, suicide, complaints to the magistrates, and so on. It is very clear that throughout the indentureship period, the Indian indentured laborers were engaged in deliberate acts to undermine colonial authority. They refused to conform to certain demands made by the colonial authorities, and they were engaged in activities which defied the planters, masters, or colonial authorities in one way or the other. In my presentation today, I will look at the folk tradition of the Indian laborers and what it tells us about the laborers' perception of the labor scheme in India, as well as resistance of the scheme in the colonies. First, I want to start by looking at the manner in which the indentureship scheme was perceived in the villages of India. In the districts and villages of India, the laborers' folk songs told of loved ones who had emigrated and left broken families behind. Some of these told of Indian women pining for the return of their husbands and sons who had left the villages to seek work in foreign lands. For example, the following song, popular in the districts of Shahabad and various other parts of Bihar and Bengal in the 1880s, gives the idea of the languishing loved ones left behind in the villages. It says, the month of Asad has commenced. The clouds have arranged their thick army. My beloved have left me deserted and is sojourning somewhere. And it continues to talk about not having the beloved there with them in the village. Other songs told varying tales of women pining for the return of their husbands who had gone to other countries. One, for example, said, if I had known, O covetous one, that you would go to a far country, I would have hid your piet under my cloth. And another verse said, in Kartik, my love went afar off, and as I realized it, I lament. Some songs hinted at the disruption to family life that occurred when Indian males emigrated overseas. These songs told of the wives who had been left behind in the villages and of husbands who married a second time. One folk song gave the story of Mahadev, who returned after 12 years and informed his wife that he had married another woman. Another said, "O husband, I would rather lose the vermilion on my head than bear the pangs of becoming a co-wife." While one spoke of the man who was deserting his young wife. On another level, there were songs more directly related to the indenture experience, which told different stories. These became popular in the villages and districts through ex-indentured laborers who were repatriated to India. Some of these laborers ended up in the villages and they painted a very dismal picture of the indentureship system. For example, one Bhojpuri folk song, which was sung in the districts of Bihar by the end of the 19th century, expressed resentment and a sense of being cheated. It says, the Arkatia came with promise and lies. Oh, the suffering and the pain of the journey. Few were there who did not cry. Many preferred to die. We were told that we were going to land with so much gold. Now that we are here, oh, our bodies are melting like gold. These folk songs give us an idea of the manner in which indentureship was seen in the villages of India, the villages from where laborers emigrated. Now, during the indentureship period, the Indian laborers transported their folk traditions to the plantations. And these songs that they brought spoke about the manner in which they perceived the labor scheme in the colonies. In fact, the songs that they sang at the plantation level expressed a strong sense of defiance. For example, folk songs during the indentureship period in British Guyana tells of the immigration process from the time of recruitment to life on the plantations. One song expressed ideas of being fooled by the recruiters. Oh, recruiter, your heart is deceitful. Your speech is full of lies. Tender may be your voice, articulate and seemingly logical, but it is all used to defame and destroy the good names of people. The negative experiences at the depot in Calcutta were told from one generation to another through the folk songs. Thus, children of indentured laborers born in the colony and having never experienced the immigration process were still aware of the conditions of immigration by the folk songs. One stated, for example, when we reached Calcutta, our miseries increased. We were stripped of all our beautiful clothes, rosary beads and sacred threads. Bengali rags decorated us now. The sadhu's hair was shaved, and sadhu, dom, chamar, and bangi were all thrown together in a room. Another song said, they beat us with a cane, lifting us over their heads. They threw us on the floor. In abusive language, they call us Salah and other names. The song expressed a strong sense of loss of tradition, culture, and family affiliation on the indentureship. Indians decried the immigration process and expressed bitterness on having become an indentured laborer. These ideas were passed on for generations so that the resentment of the labor scheme was perpetuated in the society. One said, listen, though, Indian, listen to the story of us immigrants. The immigrants who cried constantly, tears flowing from their eyes. When we left the ports of Calcutta and Bombay, brother left sister, mother left daughter. In the deep love of the mother country, we cried. Water flowed from our eyes. The villagers were simple and they faced the meanest of mean people for whom they were no match. Painful is our story, choking is our voice. When brother sold brother, all shame was gone. The mothers were looted. In need of a few grains, we became beggars. Others expressed a deep awareness of oppression and bitterness and spoke of the Indians' low position in the plantation society. The immigrants saw themselves as victims under the control of the white colonial authorities, and they regretted this low status in the colony. For example, we came to Demra with the name Coolie. Why should we be called coolies? We who were born in the clans and families of seers and saints. Another showed anger and frustration with the state of control exercised over Indians and the mechanism of colonial control. It mentioned the jail, the police station, and the courthouse, physical representation of the legal aspect of the immigration system. It says, for example, it drives one out of his mind. British Guyana drives us out of our minds. In Rawa, there is a courthouse. In Kamisma is a prison. It drives one crazy. It is British Guyana, the courthouse in Wakinam, the police station in Parika, the prison in Georgetown. Drive you crazy. Thus, the folk songs that were brought by the Indian indentured laborers told stories of resentment and frustration on having become a Gurmitia. They expressed bitterness at life on the plantations and dissatisfaction with the colonial authorities, plantation masters, and overseers. And as I end, I want to congratulate the people of Guyana on the occasion of Indian Arrival Day 2021. Thank you very much.
What a wonderful presentation. Thank you very much, dear Dr. Mahis. Our next speaker